can you tell us about the invaders?
Well, Brevin is a starship commander. He doesn't have as much experience fighting on the ground as you do.
Then we shall take the battle to the streets!
But we need to cross the snowfields without getting wasted.
We do have one advantage. Brevin wants the 4 of us dead no matter what. If he sees us coming, we can distract him.
A diversion? Do you really think you can pull it off?
Remember all the times we distracted you?
Point taken.
Hey guys, what's with that robot over there? It's looking at me kind of funny.
Who'd modify one of my hacking devices to knock out power to the engine mainframe?
In my language...
Kill the power, get the stone back, right?
You got it.
I hope this works. In case it doesn't, I need you to be prepared for what I might have to do.
It'll work. It has to. Would Brevin have left us alone if we hadn't tried to stop him?
He pulled that trick on you, huh?
But is it true?
Maybe, but I wouldn't trust him on it. Even if he did leave your people alone, it would only be a matter of time before his conquest affected your world.
You're right. We can't quit now.
The alien army has commenced its attack.
Give the order to your troops.
It will be done.
You ready, Carol?
Ready to rock!
Find the commander and his pets and tear them to shreds. And leave the brains intact if possible. I might use them for something.
Mila!
Together!
Fire at will.
Let's show this green maniac how to save a planet!
Shh, Lilac, she's right here. Well, this is something different. I'm gonna show how Lilac and Carol play, because this does go pretty differently depending on the two. There's no real difference between Carol and Mila, though. They generally play the same. Yeah, they have the same attacks, they both have this super jump move, and they have the same amount of health. You saw me use the double jump a moment ago, but I don't use it much just because I like to stay on the ground and let most of the enemy fire fly right over me. This is actually pretty easy, because you don't have to worry about the tank itself getting hit. You just have to avoid letting Carol get hit. That tiny, tiny hitbox near the top of it. Also, I'm sorry if you hear some guy using a saw blade outside. I couldn't find a better time to record this. But anyway, this is 2 attacks. You can just keep spamming the main one, just basically fireworks, and it has a flamethrower attack that doesn't reach as far when the meter runs out. But that's okay, even then you can just burn away anything that comes near you. Also, you may have noticed there's a meter at the top. I mean, well, there's a number counting down as we get closer and closer to the next level. This is something that you can't find on the stage select. You only do it when you go through the story mode. And I quite like it. I find it quite fun. I think it's a nice another little something that they didn't need to throw in there that wasn't necessary, but it just makes the game that much cooler. I really like it. Also, I can't even hear the music. It's not so bad when you're playing as Lilac, but when you're playing as Carol, you can just constantly fire and completely drown out the actual music, which is really, really nice. I will say I love the sound effects of this game. They're just so popping and like energized and whatnot. It gets really crazy near the end as the counter runs out. And it looks like Syntax is back for more, or at least another one of her body. She doesn't care how many times we blow her up. But yeah, it has 2 basic attacks. It'll just fire straight lasers at you, or it'll suddenly engage bullet hell mode and start firing bullets everywhere. It's pretty easy to avoid the lasers with a double jump, but you gotta do it just right. And I beat it, sort of. We'll let Lilac take care of this. I can't see that image without thinking of the happy music from the Neverending Story. Anyway, yeah, this is I do much prefer this version just because it's like a classic old rail shooter. I really like it. Yeah, there's no real jump move, but you can dash around using the jump button. You can go straight up or down to dodge enemy fire. You can move forward, and I'm not sure that really does anything to enemies. I mean, it might destroy enemies. I've only tried a couple of times and couldn't really tell what was going on. So yeah, you get the main method of attack, which is pretty good, covers a wide range. You can just sort of hug the bottom or top of the screen and it'll hit almost everybody who comes by. You also get that super laser attack that it tried to use on us in the previous stage. This is really good music. Anyway, if these enemies do smack into you, the poor little old Lilac, it'll be kind of like if a car ran into you, so that does do damage. One thing I really like about her attacks, though, is that they can completely nullify enemy fire. You've seen all these bullets disappear as they come in contact with ours, and it's really neat. I also just love the scale of this battle, because you may have noticed several of those UFOs that we encountered only one of in Fortune Night. It's just crazy. Just the explosions and the sounds and everything is so great. It's so fun. How have I not gotten hit yet? Not much else to say. What you see is what you get. It's just a really cool flying section. The fight goes, well, a little differently with Lilac. Syntax generally uses the same attacks. It's just, I don't really know. It's like it's easier to reach her just because you can stay on the same level as her. And of course, the laser breath can reach much further than Carol's flamethrower, so it's it's the same fight, really. And I got hit, of course, at the very end. Well, I still made a no-hit run all the way to the boss. You can finish her really quickly if you combine like both of the dragon's attacks. So yeah, pretty fun stuff. And welcome to Battle Glacier. This is where things get really nuts. It's one of the biggest and craziest, most action-packed levels in the game. At first I found it pretty daunting and I expected finding all the cards in this one to be the most difficult, but no, surprisingly it's not that bad. Most of the cards are just out of the way. The main thing that makes this stage challenging is just the sheer overload of enemies. You're getting very close to Brevin's base at Shuigang. Like, this is enemy territory. We're on the front lines. He's throwing everything he's got at us. You'll see a lot of enemies from past stages reappearing in just big quantities. I'm not going to take down all of these green guys just because there's like 10 of them in this first section alone, but I felt like taking down at least one of them. I wanted to see if I could take it down faster than the first time we ever confronted one. The music is great. The visuals are great. Ah, man. There's a nice contrast between the dirt and the ice and then the lights in the background. And look at these. Look at how many of these guys there are. It's nuts. But yeah, the music, it's very energized. It's pretty dramatic, but it's also got the... Oh, this is one of my favorite cards to get. Just love soaring like that with Lilac. That's why she's the most fun for me to play as. I just love using game-breaking abilities like that. But anyway, about the music. There are some parts of it that sound kind of like something out of a James Bond movie or something. Like this part. Listen to this. Some of you may not see it, but I do. Also kind of reminds me of Mel Slug now that I think about it. Anyway, yeah, this is that sub-boss from Sky Battalion that we didn't get to fight as Lilac. Figured I'd have to show her confronting it at least once. I don't do so well here, but you can take this down in one hit. Like if you do it at just the right angle, just as it's like flying away from you, you can kill this thing within one shot with a Comet Dash. It's just really, really cool. And I try to do it, but I just can't. But if you do manage to pull it off, you get an achievement for it. So there's that. That thing will actually pursue you for a while if you try to outrun it. It's just one of the cooler aspects of the level, and it kind of foreshadows another enemy we'll be seeing in a little bit. Anyway, something I forgot to mention a while ago when I was talking about the shields. They have neat effects, like, well, the water shield that I already described before. Apparently, like, the fire shield can nullify fire-based attacks, the crystal shield can nullify earth-based attacks, like when someone throws a rock at you or whatever. The metal shield can nullify electric-based attacks, and the flower shield can nullify poison attacks, like those are the flowers that like spray you in the previous level. That card is one of the trickiest to get on the whole level. I just didn't expect to find one up there. You just gotta keep an eye out for something you can remember, like one spot, something about the environment that you can use to remember where one of the cards is. Like, oh, it's near this spot because I remember this platform that was shaped this way, or something like that, you know? For me, it's the bombs that were on the ground. Anyway, you may have just seen, like, Brevin's fighter, or whatever it's called in the background. It actively starts pursuing you throughout the level. Yeah, not as aggressively as the helicopter, and not as directly, but, well, just watch. As you saw just now, those lasers are extremely powerful. They take out 2 petals of health, which is more than most enemies do in one hit, you know? So yeah, it doesn't, the Absolution, Brevins Fighter, whatever it's called, it doesn't pursue you as aggressively as the helicopter does for a while, but you do confront it a few more times throughout the level. You might not see it, I mean, you might see it flying by, but you won't see it again for a little while, and then suddenly you'll hear the sound it makes when it's firing at you. It's a very distinct, powerful sounding sound, and you gotta watch out for it, because you're gonna get wrecked. Anyway, yeah, this is one of the gimmicks, like, exclusive to this level. You gotta kick these rocket-propelled drills a certain way to destroy crates. The main path that most people will probably go through is down there, but if you come up here, well, there's another card. Again, like I said, the cards in this stage are not very hard to find. You just gotta take the time to look for them. Those crates can only be destroyed by the drills, so, yeah. Oh, here we go again. I just love little things like that. It just makes the stage feel more action-packed, like a scene out of a movie or something. It's very dynamic. There are 3 crates here, so you gotta hit 3 of the drills. Here we go again. Yeah, I love it when they put enemies on the ground and have them all be taken out by the lasers. It shows how expendable that they are. That this thing is so desperate to take you down that it'll destroy anything else in the area. If you do it just right, or if you do it a couple of times, you can destroy this guy with the drills. I don't think I got him that time, though. Oh, time for a boss fight. And here it is! Just its entrance, its landing is an attack. Everything about this creature just screams power and strength, and like, you just can't beat this thing. It's not really that hard. It's a pretty simple boss fight, it only has a couple attacks. But if you get touched, this thing will wreck you. You've got to constantly stay on the run. You got to be really careful. Like when it jumps back, its jumping arc is faster than your running speed. So you got to keep up with it or you're almost certain to get clipped by its green lasers. You also got to be really careful when it's charging at you like that. It's hardest to dodge as Carol. You just got to, jump on the spring at just the right time or climb up one of the walls. It is much easier to dodge as Lilac or Mila. But yeah, it's just one of the craziest bosses in the whole game. And I really, really like it. It's one of my favorite bosses. As you can see, it's got me on the ropes just because I let myself get hit a few too many times. It's a pretty unsettling, unnerving boss, but you just gotta keep at it. I won't lie, it has killed me more than a few times, and... nice finisher! I can't believe I lived through all that. I mean, look at that, I'm on the run now. I'm like, just screw this, I'm not even gonna try to fight these guys, I just gotta keep going. Ugh. So yeah, the second half of this stage, the music is much more relaxing, it's more mellow, it's like, okay, you got through. The hard part is over. Or at least I think so. You just gotta keep going, you just gotta make it to Brevin's ship, which is right over there in the background. The spaceport, as I like to call it, is, it's not super hard or whatever, but it's just one of those levels that has a little of everything in it. It has some pretty cool gimmicks, like these things that shoot you upward, and yeah, that's simple enough. You can also latch onto these things hanging from the ceiling and use them to fire yourself back down, and that does hurt enemies if you do it above them. It's like it's shooting you down as a can right through them. You can see a bunch of the space fighters we saw at the beginning of the video in the background. It just adds to the whole thing. This is another enemy that we saw on Brevin's ship in one of the early cutscenes. And it's pretty tough in that it fires very fast, it's very strong. You gotta be very careful and very selective about when you try to hit it. Like so many times, I jump the gun and yeah, I ended up being killed by this thing twice. This is my third attempt. Ugh. By the way, like many other levels, this has like 6 cards in the first act and just a few to look out for in the second act. Ones like that one are really easy to find. Again, I do like that the level is forgiving in that way, given how balls crazy everything else about it is. This thing is really handy for taking out that boss. And there we go. There's the card, and here's an extra life. Just a nice little extra something. I also felt like showing how Mila can make a total joke of this boss. You just stand under it and that will block all of its attacks, and well, there you go. Just like that, it's over. Can you believe how easy that was? I just love this music, it's so cool. Yeah, I'm not making the same mistake again. Yes, I had to fight that thing a 4th time, but whatever. Just feel like listening to the chorus again. Oh, here's another really easy spot. When you see that drill, you know that there's one above it, just like that. I do like that this act has a very, very different feel than the first act. You know, like they try to pull that off with some of the levels, but there are a few that don't really do that enough. You know, there are some levels that do kind of feel samey throughout. But, yeah, this is one of the better levels in that regard. This is another level-specific gimmick, but this level just has all sorts of crazy gimmicks. But yeah, you hit these switches and they toggle the green and red blocks. You'll see how elaborate these puzzles can get as it goes on. I do think it's a pretty clever gimmick. It's one of those things that's really simple, but really fun to just mess around with. And there's another card. I mean, I don't have a problem with how easy they are to find in this specific stage. I appreciate how forgiving it is. And I think there's only one card to get left. You'll see in a little bit. Boy, I really have run out of things to say about this stage. There's not really much else to say about it. It's got all sorts of enemies, lots of crazy gimmicks. As far as like an almost last level goes, I think this is pretty good. Like, look at this. They can't expect you to fight every enemy that you see on this stage. You just gotta hit and run. For a moment I thought there might be a card up there, but nah. I was kind of starting to forget where it was. I'll get it, don't worry. And at this point, there's just so much going on that I didn't really know what I was doing, and yeah. This is one of the crazier parts of the level. You just gotta keep hitting these switches and making your way around. It's not really a puzzle in that you are just making your way through confined spaces, but I do like how everything in this room just keeps on changing. I do think it was pretty cleverly designed. And there we go, physics for the win! And the last card is right up here. Look at this, they couldn't make it any more apparent that there's something up here, you gotta come get it! But again, I appreciate that. Anyway, this is the last card in the game. To get it, you just have to hit 4 of these blocks with those drills. And then there's a 5th block keeping you from going through the other side. But yeah. And that's all of the cards in the game! I did it! For a while I thought it might be really tricky to do. I didn't think I would be able to remember where they all were throughout the game, but there you go. Nothing really to brag about, just some I felt like showing off in the LP. Anyway, you guys may remember this. This guy, we fought him at the very, very beginning of the game. He was the first thing anywhere remotely close to a boss of some kind. And here he is now. They do mix it up a bit, you know, throwing him up there. It does make it a little trickier to fight than before, just because he's further out of reach, but eh. Also, this is where things start to fall apart for me. Look at that, we're getting very close to the ship now. I do like that you see it getting closer throughout the level, but yeah, I keep forgetting to take these guys down when I see them. I keep trying to outrun them and they just follow me around. Leave me alone, you guys! Oh well, I'm sure I'll get them this time. Take my advice, take each one of them down one at a time as you see them jump out of the ground, and that's it. I mean, look at this, I'm almost out of the level, but I just can't get it right. Well, at least I managed to take one of them out with me. We're very, very near the end of the level now. You know, you've seen everything there really is to see. It's just this one last part that's just, I do think these are really well-designed enemies, in that they are so tough, and you have to be really careful when fighting them. You have to be quick. You have to be proactive. You can't let them dictate how the fight goes. Otherwise, they'll just keep coming like this and get stronger and stronger, and they are one of the most effective enemies in the game. And I do praise Strife for designing such a simple, but still challenging enemy. It just really, really works. Like, some people may find the Brevin Troopers annoying, and yeah, so do I, but that's kind of the whole point of them. They're supposed to be really strong. And while I'm at it, I may as well show this thing. Yeah, I did, up until I did this recording, I didn't know this thing was here. That's why I'm controlling it so badly. I was just going through the middle of the stage, looking for anything that might be fun to show off, and then there was this thing. It's pretty crazy. I love it. Oh, and I kept wondering how this fight was gonna go with Mila, just because I'm used to fighting it as Lilac and Carol, but how tricky would it be to beat as Mila? And, well, you can just use this thing to tear it to pieces. I love it. Like, I wouldn't call Mila the easy mode of the game, but she does get some nice perks here and there. Like, there are some little things about her gameplay style that irk me a bit, but now and then the game does throw you a bone, like with these guys. Look at how easy they are now. Take that, son! This is so cathartic to just tear these guys apart. Oh man, so great. And yes, you can even fire at those drills to make them go. This thing does everything. I don't ever want to get off it. Anyway, we've made it to Brevin's spaceship. We've made it past all of his defenses. Who could possibly hope to stop us now?
It's such a shame that you chose the wrong side. Enjoy the last few minutes of your pathetic lives!
Alright, it's time for the final throwdown with Prince Dale. Most of the attacks come from the prince himself. He just keeps throwing these magically charged cards at you, kind of like Spade would, I suppose. Yeah, it's just another little connection between the two. I think it's pretty cool. The thing he's riding on only has one attack, and only attacks you on occasion, like every minute or so, I guess. You're about to see it. It's just pretty simple attack, but it's insanely powerful. Just watch. Dang, huh? Anyway, for each phase of the fight, you could say, Prince Dale wears a metal shield, and after you take that down, you just have to hit him one time, and then he'll regenerate the shield, and, it'll go to the next phase of the fight. I guess it's kind of expected or estimated or whatever that you'll only be able to do this once each time that thing lowers its head. I usually manage to do it twice, at least as Lilac. Each time you do it, more of those thingies jump out of the main stem, and it gets weaker. Once you've destroyed all of them, the boss is dead. So yeah, you don't actually attack like the boss's head, but each time you hurt Dale enough, more of these things will jump out to defend him. Some of them drop out petals, which is very, very helpful. And that's why I usually just bum rush and try to hit Dale as many times as possible, just to provoke more of these things into jumping out. Because the faster you do this, the more health you'll get, and the easier this will be. I love how that just darkens the whole sky and makes the entire place flash like a lightning bolt. It's just so cool. I don't really know what else to say about this fight. It's very strange, but it's one of the coolest fights in the game in my opinion. There are some little things about it that are annoying and even harder when you're playing as another character, but it's not too bad. At least not with Lilac. And there we go!
Complete!
And that's the last we see of Prince Dale, at least with the game in the state it's currently in. I think that once Spade gets his own story mode, we'll find out what happened to him and the prince afterward. We'll get some resolution for that. We'll see if he manages to break through Brevin's brainwashing and snap the prince out of it. See if the prince atone for everything he's done. That's what I assume is going to happen anyway.
I didn't know what I was doing!
You still don't.
I'm also hoping we'll get to find out just what the heck Lilac is talking about, because it seems that whatever separated the two isn't as one-sided as it may have sounded before.
I'll go in alone while you help the general take back the city.
Why can't we go in together?
It'll be easier this way, trust me.
But they'll have a harder time catching us if we stick together.
But that's what Brevin's expecting us to do.
Then let me go instead. You're too important to the mission.
I can't lose another crew! If something happens to you, I'm not strong enough to save you!
We'll be strong for you.
We also might get an exclusive stage for Torch showing off his backstory.
Still mean it.
Just something to look forward to whenever the DLC is released, which I think will be free, by the way.
As soon as you step foot into that dreadnought, you may never come out again. Are you ready to make that sacrifice?
Yeah, whatever. Let's go. We're wasting time.
Alright, here's the plan.
See you in part 11, guys. This is the home stretch. We're nearly done with the game.